Hey everybody, I'm Jordan Rudess, one of the creators of GeoShred and also the keyboardist of the band Dream Theater.
GeoShred Studio Sessions.
So I started as a classical pianist, but then when I was a teenager, I discovered the magic of synthesizers, and it kind of led me astray. I was really captivated with the sound and all the possibilities and the expression as well. And it led me down this path to kind of search out the maximum expression that would be possible in electronic instruments, which has led me to GeoShred Studio. Always looking for how to connect who we are, how we feel, how we touch to the instrument to really get that connection maximized and just create great music. When I first discovered physical modeling, it was on a Korg keyboard, and I thought that it was really, really cool and different. What I noticed right away is that when I started to tweak parameters, it got into kind of a weird space pretty quickly. And the first instruments I tried were not necessarily that realistic. They were close in a way. At some point I heard the VL1 by Yamaha, and it was really, really impressive. I think everybody in the industry just thought, this is amazing. So you knew that there was something going on there. So in my career and my path with synthesizers, eventually I came back to physical modeling and started to realize just how many great possibilities there are and the level of kind of organic sound that you could get from the models. And of course, I also met all the guys out of Stanford University and became involved with Julius Smith and discovered that, yes, the physical models are kind of the way to go to really achieve the organic, realistic sounds in the electronic music world. My environment at home in my studios is pretty interesting. As a lot of people know, I am pretty deep into MPE and a lot of different controllers. I'm surrounded by Seaboards and Osmos instruments and Keith McMillan instruments and iPads. And, you know, it's pretty crazy, as well as my guitar collection these days, and of course my piano, which is where it all started. But in general, when I'm working on an album project, I am in the smaller one of my rooms at my computer using software instruments. So it's really, really important to me to have the software instruments create the magic. In the old days, I would literally run MIDI through the room and have keyboards all over the room and travel, literally walk around and kind of supervise what was going on with the data that was being thrown to all these instruments. But now I'm not really that interested in doing that. I like to be kind of focused in front of the computer, and I expect that the computer will give me the sounds that I need through these amazing software instruments. So that was why we really went full force to creating GeoShred Studio, because we knew that people like myself work at the computer and really want things to be there without having to travel, walk around the room, go to all these other things. So today we're, very proud to bring GeoShred Studio to your computer desktop environment. When I grew up, I was a classical pianist, and then I kind of switched. And when I discovered the Minimoog, I thought it was really expressive to turn the knobs. And when I moved the filter, I was like, oh, this is awesome. I felt kind of like maximum expression. It almost didn't bother me that there was nothing going on with the keys. But of course, as I thought about it and as I gained more experience about what was possible, I started to look further. I remember one day, like the original iPod Touch, I put my hand on it and I just had this kind of flash of a thought that, wow, I could move my fingers on this in all different directions and maybe something could happen that would be another level of expression and control. It ended up turning out to be MorphWiz, which was from 2000 I started working on it in 2009. And then the way that it worked is every finger basically controlled the morphing between waveforms, and every finger could do independent pitch control. It was kind of one of the beginning first instruments that wasn't MPE at the time, but it did something very much like it. So that got me into this whole world. I feel like we're at a time now where the electronic instruments in so many ways connect with the player in ways that some of the acoustic instruments just can't do, because it's one of the things that's evolved through time, and one of the things that many people like myself and people who are more on the engineering side are really looking at, that connection with what can you do with your fingers, what can you do with your brain, what can you do with your body. Are you waving your hand in the air and creating some beauty there, or are you very carefully, subtly, expressively moving your finger on a surface or sliding? So there's all these ways that we can interact now that offer these next levels of expression. Well, now that we've reached this point where the physical models are out there, people have heard them, they can enjoy them. A lot of people have GeoShred on their iPad or iPhone or any of the iOS devices. There's this great awareness that we can do this organic, realistic instruments. So the beauty of that is you're sitting in your studio and you can create a quartet, you can create a string quartet, you can do something with the brass, with the woodwinds, with ethnic instruments. It's amazing to have that kind of control right now. We've reached definitely this next level where, you know, a musician can do that. And, you know, the software world is so expansive. When I'm in my studio with my palette of colors, I feel like a painter who just has infinite colors to splash onto this canvas, which is my musical orchestration. And now with GeoShred Studio as part of that, I can like splash on the canvas all these realistic instruments and have the kind of control I want to kind of up my musical game and my musical expression in that environment. What I'd like to also include here is that a lot of people don't realize that playing on the glass surface of an iPhone or an iPad is not a drawback at all, especially with instruments like GeoShred, because the glass, as it turns out, is this amazing way to control pitch, because the sliding on it is so fluid. Matter of fact, it's my favorite way to slide. And one of the things I really love to do is call up a wickedly cool GeoShred lead sound and just go for it and slide and bend and do all these things that I can really only do on GeoShred. So I encourage anybody who's watching this, grab your iOS device and plug it into your computer and experience the magic of having that kind of control of pitch with the glass interface, because there's really nothing like it. Through the years, I've had a lot of experience with all these MPE instruments, people who are doing, you know, really great things, trying to give you control of pitch in a lot of ways. And again, it started with MorphWiz. And the reason that I went down that path is because I love the idea of going between kind of a fretless modality and a diatonic modality, but it has to be smooth. And nobody wants to play out of tune. So with a lot of the developers of instruments that do like crazy things with pitch or allow you to slide around, because many of them were coming from an engineering background, they didn't think that, oh, it's also important to round or kind of like correct the pitch. So one of my roles as a musician being into these things is to say, hey everybody, yes, I want to slide, but I want to be able to slide and have it end up and play in the right pitch, or have my finger just land on a particular spot on an instrument and have it be that it's in tune when I land. So there's some really beautiful magic inside GeoShred. Matter of fact, I use GeoShred as an example when I talk to the other developers who are doing similar instruments in the hardware world, and show them this is what you really want. You want to have the note in tune when you press your finger, and then when you slide to your destination, when you reach your destination and you stop, you want it to be in tune again. And there are instruments that do that, do it pretty well. Honestly, it comes from GeoShred, and even before that, a little bit from MorphWiz, because that was something as a musician and as a technologist that was incredibly important to me. You know, as a developer, it's amazing to put something out and see where it goes. You don't know when you're putting an instrument together. Like in my mind, I was thinking along the lines of like Steve Vai and Jeff Beck and that kind of thing. More guitar, more whammy bar. I wanted to be able to do the really like the Vai kind of magic. But when we put it out, it got to India, and all of a sudden we started to hear these players like Mahesh Raghavan, as an example, who were doing these incredible things with pitch. And it was kind of like a light bulb moment, because we were like, of course, when you have that kind of pitch control, yes, the Indian culture, the Carnatic musicians, the people who are doing things that are very like intense and very exact with pitch and all the sliding are going to love it. So it's taken on like a wildfire in India, and I imagine through time, especially now that GeoShred Studio is out, that people in all the other countries that have, you know, cultures and music that relies on very interesting kind of pitch bending and pitch control will discover the magic of GeoShred and see that, hey, this is a great way to do it.
GeoShred is a new kind of musical instrument. It's fluidly expressive. It has a performance surface with almost magic pitch rounding, and it's coupled with physics-based models of effects and musical instruments. GeoShred Studio is an AUV3 plugin that runs on macOS devices for production workflow like composing and scoring.